The studio is somewhere between a laboratory and a factory. It's a messy space, it's a creative space. I think there's lots of sand and charcoal and paint that comes back into the work somehow, and that's quite a deliberate choice, is to get that patina, to get that history of mark making. Been working on two bodies of work in preparation for my up-and-coming solo presentation at Frieze London with Timothy Taylor Gallery. So we've got 10 new paintings and 3 new sculptures. I'm a figurative painter, and the figure itself acts as a motif, a kind of framework for experimentation and experimenting with mark making and different cocktails of media and materials. And I was really thinking about this sort of breaking down, sort of deconstructing the figure, both emotionally and physically. And there's been a departure since the last body of work, and I feel like they're moving into a new arena. It's become more personal and more inward looking. And they're more about me and how I feel in relation to my existence and my body. My earliest works, they were very much inspired by different cultures, ancient cultures, depictions of gods and goddesses, particularly the pre-Columbian and then the Greeks and the Romans. I did a lot of time looking, and now I feel like I just want to make. I tend to work on 9, 10, or up to 12 paintings all at once. I have this beautiful moment where it's either a day or a week where they all come together at the same time. So they all become realised at the same moment, and it could be after 6 months of working. And thinking of the body as a transient, temporary vessel that holds our energy. These figures are very much thinking about the energy contained within them and how it moves. They're kind of kinetic. They're finished, but they kind of feel unfinished. They're in flux. They're kind of tormented. And I think they're full of tension. There's this tension in the work between figuration and abstraction, between a surface and image, between beauty and ugliness, between the human and the alien or monster, and between male and female. I'm working with lots of different materials. So there's charcoal, there's oil paint, there's ink, there's sand, there's bits of fabric that are cut off and stuck into the canvas. There's all these different materials that come together and almost create a conversation on the surface. I'm not a narrative artist, but I think the stories really happen on the surface. I've always been interested in sculpture. I think my paintings are very sculptural. They're inspired by sculptures, but also how they're made. When I'm inspired in my paintings, I'm usually looking at sculptors. With sculpture, I've been looking at painters. So there's a painter called Bram Bogart who has these beautiful marks that he puts on his paintings, and they're really thick, impastoed works. And he's been an inspiration for the plaster on top here. The bottom of the sculpture is made from wood, from found wood, and it's been pieced together, and I've made marks to cut into it with chainsaw and other tools. And with the top, I had metal armature that I've coated in plaster, and it started to find this really interesting form. I'm loving working with three-dimensional objects and using different materials and sculpting these new forms. And I just want there to be a really good relationship between the painters and the sculptures. I don't want them to be the same thing. I feel like they're different entities and they need to exist in their own way. There's this tension in the work. They hover in this strange place, which I'm comfortable with. It's like it's a deliberate thing. But I think they're tapping into my anxieties as a human, and my relationship with mortality. You know, I'm a father of 2 young children, and I've never felt more in tune with my mortality.